Hey, this is James Kelly. Welcome back. This article is called Microservices. Knock, knock, knockin' on DevNetOps' door. First of all, I'd just like to say thank you to the New Stack for publishing this. And you guys can go and find it on thenewstack.io. Love the New Stack. And as always, if you guys want to access these podcasts and my shares of them first, please like, share, and follow me on LinkedIn. All right, away we go. Microservices. Knock, knock, knocking on DevNetOps' door. You've got to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do ya, punk? Of course, that's Dirty Harry. Imagine that putting this famous question to the sentiment of IT deployments, it points to IT and even business performance with scary accuracy. High performers, the most powerful guns in the world, to borrow Harry's words, well, they pull the trigger on deployments with high confidence, while deployment dread is a surefire sign of lower performers, advises the State of DevOps report. In his talks, Gene Kim, author of the DevOps Handbook, corroborates that deployment anxiety is associated with hapless businesses half as likely to exceed profitability, productivity, and market share goals, and evidently with lower market cap growth. We may conclude high-performing teams wear the badge of confidence because they're among the ranks in the Academy of Agile, deploying more often, orders of magnitude more often. Their speed is in taking lots of little steps, so they have regular experience with change. And feeling luckier is also an effect of actually being luckier. Data show that high performers break things less often, and when they do, there are more clear-cut forensics. They bring in better MTTF and MTTR than lower performers' old-fashioned police work because the investigation and patching proceeds quickly from the last small step instead of digging for clues in bigger deliveries peppered with many modifications. Less more often is better than more less often. Imagine conducting IT on two technology axes, time and space. If it's clearly healthier to automate faster, smaller steps with respect to the timeline or pipeline, then consider space or architecture. Optimizing architecture, design, and orchestration to recruit nimble pipeline outputs. What stands out in today's lineup of characters? Affirmative ace, it's microservices. The principles of DevOps have been around for a while and in emerging practice for more than a decade, but the pivotal technologies that cracked DevOps wide open were containers and microservices orchestration systems like Kubernetes. Looking back, it's not so surprising that smaller boundaries and enforced packaging from developers, preserved through the continuous integration and delivery pipeline, make more reliable cases for deployment. A microservices architecture isn't foolproof, but it's the best partner today for the speed and agility of frequent or continuous deployment. Microservices networks and networking as microservices. In a technical trial, see the link in the article, of service meshes versus SDN, there are three key positions that networking takes in today's microservices scene. 1. In a microservices design, the pieces become smaller and the intercellular space, the network, gets bigger, busier, and hence vital. Also, beyond zero trust style protection of the microservices themselves, it's important to have this network locked down. 2. service discovery, service/API gateways, service advertising with DNS, and service scale-out, or in, with load balancing, are all players in networking's jurisdiction. 3. Beyond microservices, any state replication, backup, or analytics over an API, a volume, or a disk also rides on the network. Given the importance of networking to the success of microservices, it's ironic that networking components are mostly monolithic. Worse, deployment anxiety is epidemic. Network operators have lengthy change controls, infrequent maintenance windows, and new code versions are held for questioning for 6 to 18 months and several revisions after availability. A primal piece, see the link, on DevNetOps cites 5 things we can borrow from the Department of DevOps to remedy network ops in time and space, starting with code, pipelines, and architecture. Small steps for DevNetOps. Starting into DevNetOps today is possible with Spinnaker-esque orchestration of operational stages. A network as code model and repository would feed into a CI/CD pipeline for all configuration, template, code, and software image artifacts. With new processes and skills training of networking teams, like coding and reviewing logistics, as well as testing and staging simulation, we could foil small-time CLI push-to-production joyrides and rehabilitate seriously automation-addled masterminds, in quotes, who might playbook to production bigger mistakes. The path to corrections and confidence on the technology time axis begins with automating the ops timeline as a pipeline with steps of micro modifications. Old, indicted ops practices can be reinvented by the user community with vendor and open source help for tooling. But when it comes to architecture, the vendors need to lead. Vendors are the chief dev partner in the DevNetOps force, and motives are clearer than ever to build a case to pursue microservices. Small pieces for DevNetOps. Microservices. After years of bigger, badder networking devices, producing some monolithic proportions, so colossal they don't even fit through doors, vendors can't ignore the flashing lights and sirens of cloud, containers, and microservices. It's clear, for DevNetOps, like for DevOps, micro-sized artifacts are perfectly sized bullets for the chamber of an agile pipeline. But while there's evidence of progress in the networking industry, there's a ways to go. Some good leads toward a solution include Arista supporting patch packages separate from their main EOS delivery. Another one, the OCP, Open Compute Project, popularizing software and hardware disaggregation in its networking project. Another example, Juniper Networks building on disaggregation by supporting node slicing and universal chassis for finer-grained modularity and management boundaries. Furthermore, data center network designs of resilient, scale-out cloth network fabrics with pizza box-sized devices are now gradually favored over large aggregation devices. And in software-defined networking, projects like OpenContrail are now dispatched as containers. In the world of DevOps, we know that nothing does wonders for deployment quality like developers threatened with the prospect of a page at 2 a.m. But for DevNetOps, that poetic justice is missing, and the 24/7 support between the vendor-customer wall hardly subdues operator angst when committing a change to roll a deployment. Moreover, the longer the time between a flawed vendor code change and the time it's caught, the more muddled it gets and the tougher it is to pin. The best line of defense against these challenges is smaller, more frequent vendor deliveries user tests, and deployments. Drawing inspiration from the success of how DevOps was boosted by microservices, imagine if while we salute DevNetOps, continuous and agile operations today, we compel vendors and architectural commissioners to uphold designs for finer-grained, felicitous microservices, devices, and networks for a luckier tomorrow. That's it for this article. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to the New Stack for publishing this first. And as always, please like, share, and follow me on LinkedIn. Until next time, chitty chitty bang bang.